I'm recording.
Live now.
Welcome everyone to SestraNow's Workshop Wednesday. Tonight, we have the pleasure of presenting SestraNow's 1000 Women Campaign's Business Startup Team. You are in for a treat. We have some powerful women that have businesses that are doing their thing, and they're taking the time tonight to share their secrets with you. So without further ado, we're going to allow them to introduce themselves one by one, and they're going to present tonight business startups for NOVICES. So let's start with Dawn Coder Jenkins.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. My name is Dawn Coder Jenkins, and my business is World Class Speech Services. And I am the CEO, or I like to say the CIO, because the Chief Information Officer of my business, which is a multi-service business that specializes in professional speech services for public speaking, accent modification, and interpersonal communication. For leaders and busy professionals who are ambitious and want to get to the next level. So for me, I try to build success through communication, and my intention is to always provide my clients with the best techniques and technology for the services that they need. So I am glad that I am here this evening to share with you how I have built my business, rebuilt my business, and what I'm doing now. I want to make sure that everybody understands that I am part of the marketplace, the SestraNow marketplace. So again, I know that we're going to definitely reinforce that everybody should join in on the SestraNow marketplace. Feel free to find me there. And again, you can connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram and Facebook, but I will definitely look forward to following up, learning about you guys, and I'm excited to be here tonight. So thank you for inviting me to join in on this discussion tonight.
All right, well, I will go now. I am Tika Ann Haynes. I currently live in St. Louis, Missouri. And before I started my business, my background is, and I have a PhD in molecular genetics and microbiology. So I used to do oncology drug development. I am currently a global sales director at Mary Kay Cosmetics. So I assist men, women, kids with all your skincare needs, your body care needs, your makeup needs, your gift giving needs. I do that through individual consultations. I do that through girlfriend get-togethers. I do it through tutorials. And I also help other women start businesses. So I work in 5 countries for our company, and I do a lot of leadership development for Mary Kay. One thing that I wish somebody told me before starting my business was that you will lose a lot of friends along the way. Like as you build, you will, some friendships will die away. You outgrow some, and some, just die away. So that's one thing that I wish somebody told me before I started my business.
And hi, my name is Nakia Hall. Some of you know me as Chrisanne. I live in Long Island, New York. I own a small business consulting firm, NTKC Enterprises, and we specialize in financial planning, web design, e-commerce, and marketing. I work directly with businesses in need of guidance to either begin their journey or as an entrepreneur, or refine some of the areas in their business to help boost sales, credibility, and income. One thing that I wish that someone told me before I started a business is don't wait for the right moment. Oftentimes, we as women find ourselves trying to cover all of our bases before we start any task. And the truth is, even if you are overly prepared for whatever your business may throw at you, you will still fall short, and that's okay. Don't let that be the deterring factor for what's in store.
All right, and we have one other member of our team. She's not on yet, but when she comes on, we would just will love for you to meet her when she comes on. Her name is Evie, and so we look forward to meeting her. So right now, I just want to tell you a little bit about what we provide for you as your business startup team. Literally, our name says it all. Like if you want to start a business, we're your go-to people, right? You may have an idea that's brewing inside of you. You may have something that that's been with you. I always say, you know that you're supposed to do something when the idea just won't leave you, right? And you probably have tried to run away from it. You probably have been for a long time in the employee, mindset, and you need a shift, or you probably are ready. Like you're probably like right on the edge of getting your business started, but you're like, I don't even have the resources. Like, I don't even know where to go left, go right. So we are your go-to people. We are your connectors. What I love about SestraNow is that there's so much diversity in our careers and in what we've come from and in what we've done. And so I'm going to show you the marketplace in a second where you can connect with others, but connect with Don, connect with me, connect with Nakia, connect with Evie. Of course, you can always connect with Stephanie and Annette for any of the resources that you need. We're also a judgment-free zone for like all your questions, right? Like completely. We understand, those of us who've started business, we understand it is a totally different mindset. It's a totally different skill set. There are a lot of different small pieces that, it's like when you're packing up your house to move, moving the big stuff is so easy, but then all the little nitty gritty stuff that bugs you down, we're a judgment-free zone for all of that, and a place to help you to master your craft, right? So whether maybe you want to practice your presentations, or maybe you want some speech help, or you want some marketing help. So that's what we are here for. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you the SestraNow. This is the SestraNow website, SestraNow.com. You guys can see my screen, right? Perfect. Okay, so this is the SestraNow website. When you come to the website, I want to show you something. If you have the page opened up wide, the marketplace is going to be right here. If maybe you're on your phone or you're on a mobile device and the page is not opened up, you can just click this button here to reach it, and you'll see it over here. You'll see the marketplace here, right? When you click on the marketplace, it's going to open up like this. And what I want to show you here first is, this is the first thing that you want to do. If you're not currently on the marketplace, this is the first place you want to do, okay? You want to request to become a partner. Before you look for any resources, get excited. I want you to make sure that you do this part first and become a partner. Put all your information. That will go over to Stephanie and Annette, and they will contact you to set up your profile. Now for your resources, this is an excellent place, right? You're starting a business. You may need an attorney, right? You may want to get an LLC. You may want to get anything legal. You may want some contract, maybe you're gonna get a storefront and you want your contract reviewed or something. You want an attorney for something, come under the marketplace. We have attorneys, right? You may need, where's marketing? You may need a marketing expert. You may be like, I have no idea what to do right now for my website to advertise my business. We have, so just look at the categories. And when it opens up, I'll show you my profile. This is my profile here. And it just opens up, it shows you the business owner. It tells you a little bit about what we do. And then most importantly, the contact information is here. So this is a great resource that SestraNow has, that you can just really, anything that you need, you can go. Now, I want to tell you this. Let's say, because we want everybody to get on the marketplace, right? And so let's say you need an accountant and you look on the marketplace, and let me go back here. You look on the marketplace and you don't see accountant. Reach out to us. We can help. We can find somebody for you, even if they're not on the marketplace. But the marketplace is a great place to go first time to look for your resources. And so we're here for you. So reach out to us, friend us on Facebook, find us in the SestraNow group, connect with us from the marketplace. We're looking forward to working with you and help you get your business started. And now we're gonna go to our presenter today.
Yes, as I mentioned before, my name is Nakia, and I would first and foremost like to thank Annette, Stephanie, and the Business Startup team for allowing me to speak on their behalf this evening. Before I begin, this presentation will be broken down into two parts, and there will be a Q&A segment at the end. First and foremost, I'd like to ask a few questions. You can just raise your hand and keep your hand raised until I ask all four. How many of you have ever bought a product from a small business? How many of you have ever had a business idea that you wanted to pursue? Raise your hand if you know anyone who has started their own business or side hustle. And raise your hand if you own your own business. You guys can put your hands down now. I asked these four questions up front to acknowledge a few things. One, We can all raise our hands for at least one of these questions, which means that we already have access to a network. And if you're logged into this meeting right now, you probably know what I'm referring to, SestraNow. These may not be women that you have personally interacted with as of yet, but do find comfort in the fact that you are surrounded by like-minded women who were in your shoes, are in your shoes, or are trying on the same shoe as you right now. 2, you've witnessed someone who is passionate or may have even experienced being passionate about something that you're interested in. And 3, by being here tonight, you are intrigued to learn about the life as an entrepreneur. As I mentioned before in my introduction, I own a small business consulting firm, NTKC Enterprises, but this was not my first business venture. In elementary school, I found myself selling sample lipsticks from my dad's old Avon inventory. Realizing now the amount of trouble that I could have gotten in amuses me, but that feeling does not compare to the emotion of completing a sale. You would think I would pursue a degree in retail and sales management, but that was not the case. I graduated with a degree in legal study and realized quickly that that was not the direction I wanted to take my life in. I landed a position right before graduation working in finance, where I created a love for underwriting and operational management. It was after 2 years when I unofficially became a consultant. My managers would refer me to colleagues who wanted to start a business on the side, but didn't have the experience to begin. Not knowing my true potential, I completed these contracts and did not think twice about owning my own and being paid as a contractor versus being paid as an employee. Soon, I found myself heavily invested in learning more about business and marketing and using all my resources to lay the foundation before even thinking about making NTKC official. After inception, I still struggled to find my identity through the business and attempted to focus on areas that increased revenue rather than sustainable clientele. If that wasn't enough, COVID hit, leaving me with nothing but time to figure out what I really wanted my company to be about. During those isolated months, I refined my craft and tailored it to the needs I had as a startup and the needs of my clients during this unpredictable time. It was the perfect storm in the making. Now NTKC is serving small and medium-sized businesses across the tri-state. I say all of this to say, tip number 1, know your 3 W's. Know your why. Why do you want to start this business? Why now? Why do you feel like right now is the best time? Most people start businesses because they feel as if they lack appreciation from their job, their career, or even their educational accomplishments. This goal is not to be impulsive and think that having your own business will solve all your problems. If anything, it will test you more than where you are right now. Your second W, know your will. What am I willing to sacrifice for this business? Will I be committed to this journey, even when it's tough? Am I willing to invest time and money into this venture that I may not see for a couple months or more? And lastly, but most important, know your worth. Know that you are more than capable of becoming an entrepreneur. Know that no does not mean never. Know that your product and your service may not be for everyone, but it will impact the ones that it's meant for. You are the most important aspect of your business. Without you, it does not exist. Tip number 2. Tip number 2 is something I touched on during my introduction earlier. Don't wait for the right moment. It doesn't exist. During the beginning creative stages of entrepreneurship, you find yourself thinking too far ahead. What will my letterhead look like? Oh, I know someone I can hire to help me with X, Y, and Z. Should I apply for a business loan right now so I can build up my inventory? These are all important questions, however, but you don't have a name. Focus on the immediate necessities, the business name, the service or product you will offer, who your target market is. All things we will touch on in the second segment. Once you have the basics, start making movements towards registering your business and everything else will follow. Tip number three. Tip number three is to be patient with yourself. This business is not going to be successful overnight. There will be growing pains that you go through in order to become the best version of your business. And even that may change. The industry may or may not shift in your favor, but you have to be adaptive in these crucial moments. Tip number four. Tip number four will help you stay occupied when your patience is running thin. Continue to learn and perfect your craft. It is important to do your research on your market and your niche. Make sure that what you are offering is relevant and sustainable. There will always be another way to do things. And even if it's your competitor's style, learn it anyways, because you never know when that knowledge will benefit you when you're with a client or even an investor. And my final tip, tip number five, is to plan and execute. Write down everything, every idea, every thought, every mistake, every deadline. It sounds crazy, but it will help you for two reasons. One, it helps you keep you on track. When you write things down, there's now a sense of obligation to complete those tasks. It holds you accountable for your responsibilities, not just in your business, but also in your personal life. The two will easily become intertwined and overwhelming, but you can reduce that by being organized and maintaining a schedule that allows you to grow, but also allows you to breathe. Also, writing down everything will show you your progress. Progress is not always measured by your daily accomplishments. Sometimes you need to look back at the first few pages of your business ideas to see how far you've come. This will boost your confidence and reassure you that the work you've done thus far has not been in vain. These are just a few personal tips when starting a business. People often think that starting a business solely requires social traits and boss lady characteristics, but it doesn't. How you process failure, success, wins, and loss will also reflect onto your business. You are the business, and the business is you. You control the confidence behind your elevator pitch. You control the sincerity behind the conversations you have with your clients and your prospects. Let your business reflect the best qualities, because ultimately that is what will have people coming back to you. Now that we've conquered self, let's conquer the business plan. If you go on Google and type in business plan template, you will find 5 to 20-page business plans with terminology you've never heard of, and possibly giving Annette a call to put her law degrees to use. The truth is, it's not that complicated. When you think of the sections in your business plan, you don't want to treat it like a Fortune 500 company. Treat it like it's your baby. You want to take small steps. So let's begin. The executive summary is just the general overview of what your company does. It should be written with the passion you've conveyed when you come up with the idea. A sneak peek into what you want to do, how you want to do it, and even where. Your company description. Describe what products and services your company will provide. This is where that notebook of ideas and potential additions come in handy. Now you can prioritize the ideas, which will ultimately help your marketing plan in the future. The opportunity. Describe very briefly why your business needs to exist. What problem do you solve for your customers? You didn't come up with this idea because everything was working out fine. You saw a need, and now you want to be a part of the solution. Use that. Industry and market. Describe your target customer and market segments. Who do you want to reach? Is it young men? Is it older men? Is it young women? Is it older men? Is it health related? Is it tutoring related? Who do you see benefiting from your business? Once you find this niche, you now know how to market them. Your competition. Summarize your key competition. Who will your customers also consider? This is important because you can use this research to help set realistic goals and prices for your product and services. Also, you can see how much or little success someone else is having without having to use your money to figure it out on your own. The team. Write a brief overview of the 3 W's we mentioned earlier. How do they display the true why behind why you're starting this business? Why are you the right person or the right people to start this business? And then your financial plan and expectations. What is your budget for starting the business? Write down all of your financial goals. How do you plan to sell within the next year? What are your short and long-term goals? These don't have to be these don't have to be exact numbers. And this will change as time goes on. Do not be defeated if you spend more money than anticipated. Be prepared for the worst scenarios in the early stages so you don't find yourself giving up on your dream because of financial hardships. Owning a business is hard, but it is such a rewarding feeling when you know it's yours and that you are offering a product and a service that solves a problem or need. Remember this, it may not get any easier, but you will get better at doing it. Just take your time and enjoy every step of the way. So now if anyone has any questions for anyone on the team, you can just raise your hand and we'll go in order.
Well, Evie's here now. Do you want to introduce yourself, Evie? Okay, go ahead. I don't know. Evie was having some kind of issues getting onto the internet, so maybe she's still having some issues. Go ahead.
Okay, I was taking notes on everything you're saying, Akia, and starting SestraNow, something that I've been told constantly is, because I've had many businesses over my life, but the one thing everyone always says is you have to find your niche. You have to find your niche. So when you say that, find your niche, can you elaborate on that a little more, on like why that is so important? You know, I look at it as, how are you gonna, what's gonna distinguish you from your competitors, right? But maybe if you could just elaborate on that and how someone would begin to even go through that process.
The easiest way to put it is to think of it like your friend groups. You have family friends, you have friends from work, coworkers, you have people you just meet on the street. When you look at your niche, you're just trying to find that sweet spot. So SestraNow is mainly networking for women, correct? So within that, you then have to figure out what area you're passionate about. So right now we're doing a campaign on fitness and business startups. That in itself is your niche. You can go further into that niche by figuring out, okay, at what stage are these businesses at, or what stage are they at in their finance or their fitness progress? Do you have people who don't work out every day of the week? Are you dealing with mothers? Are you dealing with elderly? That kind of helps you gear and steer where your audience and who your audience is. And the goal is never to just find a niche that is popular, because things that are popular won't always stay popular. You want to have something, like I said before, that's sustainable. So even though fitness is great right now, because summertime is coming, everyone wants to look good, you do want to find a way that elongates that through the entire year. So what is now, let's say for the fitness group, how are you going to help people during Thanksgiving? What health tips are you going to give them when they really just want to go get that second plate of food? Those are the things you have to think ahead, and you have to think in the mindset of not just yourself, but where you're trying to steer people. You want them to always feel as if what you're saying is catering to them. And that comes with being adaptive and understanding what you're dealing with. Something that may be relevant today won't be relevant tomorrow. People may love to jump rope today and then find out that it's making their lungs do something and then it's off the table. You have to always remember what your baseline is, what your foundation is. From that foundation, you then build up and out. And in building, you will see what's successful and what's not. And at sometimes you may follow the thing that is a little bit less successful in this moment because you see that it's still trending consistently. So a niche is, in simple terms, just how you want to steer or how you want your voice to be heard.
Okay, thank you. We have a question on Facebook. After you,
Can I jump in real quick?
Go ahead.
Can I add something to that?
Sure.
That is, it's such a common, what you asked, Stephanie, such a common question that people literally don't ask, you know, or when they have something they want to start or they know. So sometimes you have an itch for entrepreneurship. Like you have something like, I really want to get out of this life and I want to become an entrepreneur. But then people say, but I don't know. I have to find what I'm passionate about. I have to find my niche. You know, what you said at the beginning before you asked the question, Stephanie, is so important for everybody to hear. You've done multiple businesses.
yes,
It is okay. The most important thing is just to get started, because every single startup is going to teach you something. And if you start up and you find this is not your niche, that is totally fine, because now when you move into something else, you're moving into something else more experienced, more prepared, more confident. So don't let finding your niche or your passion bog you down to not get started on something. My entire life before Mary Kay was in science and medicine. If someone had told me that I would sell cosmetics and lead women, I did not even like women when I started Mary Kay. My husband talked to me for 2 solid months every single day, talked me out of selling this product for 2 months. Every day. He's like, you don't even like women. You don't even wear any makeup. He's like, you don't even like pink. You know, I was the person who, if you invited me to a Mary Kay skincare class, I would have never come, right? But here I am, right? 14 years later in the game. And I did not know that this was going to be my niche, but had I not tried, how would I have found out, right? So don't let finding your niche or your passion hold you down. Just get started. And if that's not it, and like Nakia said, sometimes, I mean, Blockbuster had a niche. That's no longer relevant right now, right? Sometimes it becomes irrelevant over time and you have to innovate, but just the most important thing is just get started on something. Don wanted to come in.
Thank you. Yes, no, I agree with you. This is about 20 years into business, and I am restarting. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I am restarting in a new area and in a new niche. And as Nakia said, there's definitely some advantages to finding a niche, but as you said, Tika Ann, it's really about starting. It's really about getting your feet wet, because I was telling you that I used to sell Mary Kay, and that actually was before I established my own private practice for speech pathology. So I was similarly to you. My husband was like, seriously, you're naturally beautiful. You don't wear that stuff. It's okay. And again, for what it's worth, it was still so much that I learned about talking to women. And that led me into knowing how to communicate better, frankly, which of course is going to be so advantageous to me as a speech pathologist or as a communicator and as talking to women about talking to women, right? So again, that idea is really there. The other thing that I wanted to mention though, because Stephanie, you are correct in even asking the question, people talk about it all the time. People say, find your niche, find your niche. For me, my understanding of it is that when you are able to find your niche, you're able to find your target market. When you're able to find your target market, you're able to tweak your message and focus your attention on what you want to do. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that, like sometimes I'm like, can I just, throw a broad net and hope that somebody comes in and they figure out that they need me. But if I want to market properly, and if I want to be able to focus my attention, my money, my time, my resources on something, I'm going to want to find a niche that people can tap into and say, that sounds like me, right? So at least one part of my message is very focused and very much like what I really want to do. Maybe following my passion, maybe following my interests. Right now, my interest is in telehealth and telehealth and telepractice. So I talk about communication via, the internet and how to do that with, better skills, basically. So that's a very specific niche. It's not for everyone. And so the truth is that there's certainly things that make sense when you're doing that. And I know that we can tweak it, we can change it. This is definitely not what I was doing 20 years ago. This is what I'm doing now. And again, our niche can change because we know better. So we can do a little bit differently. So I see Annette is next.
Yeah.
One second, I just want to close with something, if you don't mind. If this is reassuring in any way, shape, or form, Stephanie, you already have your niche because you have the marketplace, and that's not something that a lot of women have. They may have groups that they can go to and communicate with, but you've created a marketplace that allows women to work with each other and help build through that. So if you're worried about finding it, you already have it. You just need to see the power in that so that it can grow even more than where you are right now.
Thank you. So would you guys say a niche is your audience? Because I've been through like many trainings with coaches, business coaches, and they say, to write out who is your person, who is your target audience? What does that woman or that man look like? What age? Where do they live? What do they do? So would you guys say that that's what it is? It's another, AKA your audience?
It can be, but for a business like SestraNow, your niche is not specific. When you're dealing with a product, it is way more specific. If you have a men's lotion, you're tailoring to men. But because SestraNow is a networking platform, your niche is broader because you're dealing with women that are 20, you're dealing with women that are 65. You have a more broad span to work with rather than someone that is dealing with a service that's very specific. So your niche will always vary with especially when it comes to networking.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Annette, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I have a question because, I have I'm a little old woman who lives in the city. I have 7 children, right? And, I look at them and there are definitely 2 of them that have like the entrepreneurial spirit, and so I find myself saying, she's the one, I know that's the one, that's going to be the one. And for me, by the way, I did marry Kim a long time ago. I was in and out. But anyway, so I feel like I am passionate and I have leadership skills and stuff like that. But I don't know that I'm an entrepreneur. So my question is, do you think that anybody can build a business? There are people that have it that are born with it, I think, and or is it a skill that you can acquire? And also, I wanted to know, like, how you go from having a great idea to being able to execute the idea, like, so that's kind of 2 different things. Do you think that there's some people that, that are prone to do it, you have to be born with it? I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but that, and also, how do you bridge the great idea with actually getting the business going?
That was a lot, but did you guys catch all of that?
Yeah. Okay, do you want to go, Nikki? I can go after you.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
Okay, so 2 things. Your first question, can anyone be an entrepreneur? So when people ask me, how did you become successful in Mary Kay? Remember, I told you guys, like, I've never done anything like this before. I think the skills are very transferable. Entrepreneurship skills are very transferable. I think the number 1 characteristic that anyone needs to be successful in entrepreneurship is you've got to be a good student. So I think anyone who's a good student can become an amazing entrepreneur. So I don't think it's something you're born with. I do think it's something that you learn. And so if you're willing to learn, which is exactly what we, like your business startup team is here for, right? That's exactly what the marketplace is for. That's exactly what SestraNow is all about, right? If you're willing to learn, yes, you can be a successful entrepreneur. Your second question, wait, I had to answer, but I forgot what was your second question again, hon? I forgot.
How do you take a leap from the great idea, like the great idea? Because I just think that not everybody, I mean, you answered that, you can apply it, but how do you take the leap between the great idea to actually start?
Got it. So how do you go from the great idea to actually getting started? Well, the first thing is just get started. You know, so many times we feel like we want to cross all the T's and dot all the I's before we get started, right? And it's very unrealistic because if you try that, when you get started, you're going to have to uncross some of the T's and not some of the I's. And you're going to have more T's and I's that you didn't even think about that are going to come up. So from the great idea, I like what Chrisanne said, you put it on paper. I'm a big advocate for if you want to get something started, you put it on paper and then you just get started. You know, there are different pieces to it, and how you get started may be different from how somebody else gets started. But the most important thing is to get started, because once you get started, you're going to be moving forward, right? Then there are also people like Nakia, who she's a business consultant. If you feel like you're stuck, that's where she comes in. You reach out to her and she gives you the steps. She gives you the idea. She moves you forward. That's why business consultants and coaches are so important for people, because a lot of times it's not actually what to do, it's the mindset. A lot of times it's not the A, B, C, D of what you need to do. It's the mindset, because and you know, that's what the business consultants can help you with, right? And so it's just getting started. Like, don't try to get all the ducks in a row first before you jump in and get started. So that's what I'd say to that.
Just to add on to what Tika Ann said, in terms of being an entrepreneur, there are many different ways to go about it. You have people who have watched family members be entrepreneurs, so they learn by example. You have people who go through certain traumas and realize, I don't want to work under anyone. I'm going to make this happen for myself. And then you have people who just have this feeling on the inside that I guess like it's like a twitch, where you just feel like, you know, eventually that you're going to do something, you just don't know what. And then you have people who really just need another source of income. So I think once you establish which individual you are, that will better help you move forward in your next steps, and also help you in the execution phase. When you're looking at your children and you see that they have that entrepreneurship in them, what you're sensing is that leadership, that outward leadership in wanting to make something happen for themselves, make a difference. And that's, like Tika Ann said, that's not something that you can't learn. That's not something that you can't create within yourself. There are enough books, there are enough resources to bring your mind to that place where you now can think on those levels without having to pay $10,000s of dollars in order to get there. In terms of the execution and the planning, like I said, once you figure out what type of person you are, and that's why I spent so much time at the beginning to discuss the you in the business. If you cannot be transparent with yourself to say, I'm a procrastinator, I never complete any of my tasks, your business will never be successful, because you will translate that into the tasks that you need to complete for the business. If you take the time to reflect and look at yourself in the mirror, you will see where you have your faults, and you will see where the personality traits that you have that can, I'm sorry?
I said strengths. Did you want to say strengths?
Yes, what your strengths are, that will help you gauge how to go through the certain steps that you want to take. And what I always recommend to any of my clients is, like I said, write everything down, but step away from it from a moment. Take a day to take your mind off of the business and what you want to do and how you want to do it, and then come back with a refreshed mind, because then that will help you gauge what's more important at this point and what you need to prioritize on.
I would, can you please, you gave some steps. Can you just go over the steps before you don't have to do it right now, but before you go, because I didn't get a chance to jot down the notes.
There are questions. There's a question on Facebook. Can I
Yeah, go ahead.
follow up the niche?
I just wanted to tell, Nakia, to before you wrap up, if you could go through those steps one more time.
Okay, so Diane Morales, who is is our team, one of our leaders on our counseling team, asked, after you've discovered your niche and your why, what is next? I think you kind of answered that question. So the second part of her question is how to find startup funds and loans. Diana, if your question wasn't answered, please let me know. But I guess we can start with, how do you find startup funds and loans?
There are a lot of resources. One that I usually tell people to start with is you can't get a loan if you don't have a business bank account. And one of the main, or one of the best that I've seen thus far in terms of opening that business bank account is using credit unions. They favor small businesses tremendously. If you go to a Chase, you're barely a penny in their eyes. They're not profiting off of you or your passion or your vigor. So I would definitely recommend checking your local credit unions first. And then once you have, I believe it's 10,000 a month of income, then you can work towards getting an SBA loan, which is a small business administration, or yes, administration loan from the government. They do have payment plans. They do have different styles of financial planning for you, but I would definitely start off with your credit unions if you are starting off small. And like I mentioned earlier in the presentation, make sure that you're starting off with a good savings. Make sure that you're saving enough money for the rainy days, because yes, it's great to have access to other people's money, but other people will eventually want their money back. So when you are doing those initial steps, make sure that you are setting aside funds for the production of your business.
Okay, I have another question. Annette, you want to go?
No, I think that maybe the question is also talking about maybe grants and not only loans, but other sources of funding. I think so.
So on that, I would say, depending on what kind of business you're opening, as Annette said, if you are looking for grants, if you are looking for people to invest in your business because it's a particular type of business, then you can do it, unfortunately or fortunately, because there's so much research to do, so many different ways of trying to find information from kind of the community. It's almost like locally, then statewide, then, kind of nationally, basically. You're looking for information that is targeted, again, towards what you're trying to do. Hence the reason why, kind of knowing who you want to target can oftentimes help you find what kinds of monies that people are offering, frankly, and going to be able to support you with purchasing resources and finding personnel, etc. I would also suggest, because I have, over the years worked with several different accountants and financial advisors, I would say definitely hopefully find a good financial advisor. If you want somebody, I will certainly recommend the person that I have trusted with my finances for the last 15 years, and the person that's my accountant for the last 10 years, who runs both my business and my husband's business, does the taxes for that. But the point is, find somebody that you work well with and ask them questions. Because, for example, as I keep on saying, I'm restarting my business. My accountant literally, first of all, she's on Facebook. She was liking my pictures, and then they called me. Her office called me and says, how can we help you? How can we support you? What can we do to make sure that your finances are aligned? I've also spoken to my financial advisor within the last few months. Where can I find the money that I've been saving? As Nakia said, where are you putting that money in while you're working, and you can, put some aside because you can borrow from yourself. So again, there are various places that you may not have thought of that they can guide you towards, because if we are an expert in whatever we're an expert in, we may not be an expert in finding money. So we need to have somebody that can help us to find money and guide us towards a better opportunity to create, kind of a flow and some support on that before, we go to maybe, getting a loan, etc. But the truth is, there's nothing wrong with any version that you work with. It's just what can you sustain? What's the most useful to you? Maybe what's the most immediate if you need it immediately. And of course, if you have family that you can borrow $1,000 from, feel free to ask them. But again, if we were being realistic, we want to find a right way to do it, and the best way to feel confident about the process, because the process is not always easy. I will definitely say that there's highs and lows with money. It comes and it goes. And sometimes it's not always climbing on a nice even streak. Sometimes it's going up and sometimes it's coming down. And you've got to be able to kind of have enough cushion to be able to do all of those things. So
Dawn, please refer those resources to SestraNow. It looks like we can use their help. So make sure they become members, okay?
yes.
Okay, so, and you want to read these comments? Because I had another question, but I don't want to.
Okay, so we have, there are different flavors of entrepreneurship. You may have your own unique business where your franchise may be full-time or part-time. That's another good thing to think about. Like, I'm thinking you could do this on a part-time basis, right? Stephanie and I are trying to figure out how we can do this on a full-time basis. But while you're getting there, that's a good thing to think about. Something that's
okay, before Nakia goes over the bullet points, I just want to throw this out there, which I believe a lot of us that have businesses that started them and that may have failed, it may have been due to a lack of support. Some of you guys may feel me with this, from family and friends. Like myself, you may have family and friends the closest to you, the ones that you would think would be there to support you, to say, oh my goodness, here she goes with another idea, where they start to actually not support you. What are you guys, maybe your perspective on what do you do when you don't get that support from those that are closest to you, and you feel like you're alone and you're on your own? And if you're not a part of SestraNow, right? Yet, but because we support each other. But what if you're in that situation where you're alone and you don't have those people there to encourage you? Any words for that woman that's struggling?
I feel like we all probably have some stories like that. But here's the thing, right? So Dr. Tika Ann was talking about her husband. Sometimes, and again, because I was in the same situation, people don't really understand your why. I think that there's, some phrase that talks about, God gave you the vision, that you shouldn't expect other people to see that vision because he gave it to you. But one of the things is that oftentimes, if you take it positively, if it's somebody that cares about you and if somebody that loves you, it's usually a version of they are trying to protect you. They are trying to give you some sort of comfort. But again, like you said, it doesn't feel that way because you have a vision and you want to work towards it. So trying to, see them as positively as possible is where I would definitely start, because if it's somebody that does love you and if it is somebody that does care about you, they're not saying it to be mean. They are saying it to be protective. And oftentimes, don't get me wrong, oftentimes they're trying to protect you. And so, you have to, take that with a grain of salt. But the other part is, back to tip number 1, to know your why. Honestly, that would be the one to go back to. If you have a why, nobody can really tell you, not nobody, but you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
can't tell you to stop going for it and fail through to success. Because truthfully, there's going to be failures in even the most successful businesses. Steve Jobs was fired from his position with Apple because they didn't think that he was bringing enough to the table or whatever reason. So he had a major failure. They obviously asked him back, and so that was great. But part of that is also the idea that you have to maintain your vision, you have to maintain your why, you have to keep stepping forward, and frankly, you do have to have an internal fortitude to be able to do that, which may not come from the external people around you who are trying to, give you good advice and help you through the process in their own way. But if they've never started their own business, they don't probably know what they're talking about. And even if
Yes.
they have started their business, maybe their business is different than yours and they don't see your vision.
Thank you so much. I wish my mom was listening. I don't know, just the reason I'm saying that, because you get the older people that tell you, just keep your job. I don't know if you guys share that, but you always have those people that all they know is a 9 to 5 and a regular paycheck from a corporation. They don't understand where you want to be the corporation. You don't want to continue to help someone else build their dream, because behind that corporation is a CEO or a founder that started where you are one day. So in your head, you're like, no, I want to be that guy, and then, you have these people that just will never get it. So I appreciate what you're saying, Dawn. You have to have the fortitude, you have to know your why, and you just have to ignore that and keep doing what you do.
And I just want to add that I love the fact that Ron took them a positive Cairo, because sometimes you can sit down and complain, this one, that person, I mean, that just is a breath of fresh air to think about it in a positive way. They're not peers necessarily. They're not trying to sabotage you necessarily. I know I'm the type of person, if my friend is doing something, I'm gonna buy their book. I'm gonna do what, I try my best, even if I never read it, right? But, there's just some people that are that way and some people that just aren't.
Thank you. So Nakia, you want to go over those points? We're getting close to the 8 o'clock hour.
Okay, so when we started, I know some of you briefly heard Dawn mention know your why. The first tip that I had was to know your 3 W's. You want to know your why. Why are you starting this business? Why now? What about this business feels relevant to you at this very moment? And then you want to know your will. Are you willing to sacrifice time, money, energy? Are you willing to commit to pulling this through, even in those moments when people are not supporting you? And you also want to know your worth. That's the key. That is the most important of them all, because in those moments when you're not getting the support that you anticipated, having that self-worth, it's going to help you push forward, because not only do you know what you have, what your strengths are, but you also know that what you're trying to accomplish is only going to benefit people, whether it's the people that you know or not. And then 2, Tika Ann mentioned it multiple times today, don't wait for the right moment. It does not exist. Do it now. Whatever you have, whatever you feel, whatever your itch is, just do it now. And then tip number 3 is be patient with yourself. There will be times when it gets hard, where the money is low, where you just keep getting no's back to back, but you have to be patient with yourself and be patient with who and what you're creating. Everything takes time. And then tip number 5 was to continue to learn and perfect your craft, not only just what you are trying to accomplish, but learn what your competitors are doing as well. That will help you in your execution, your elevator pitch, your dealing with clients and investors and things of that nature. And tip number 5, to plan and execute. Write down everything, every deadline, every task, every idea, every mistake. This will help you not only keep you accountable for what it is that you want to accomplish, but it will also help you in your personal life. Make sure that you're giving yourself time to breathe and to process what's going, this newfound journey, this new energy within yourself. And it also helps you keep tabs of your progress and where you're coming from, which is most important. Always give yourself credit. Always give yourself credit for even the smallest of things. If you found a business name and didn't do a logo today, don't stress it. You accomplished something. And there are a lot of people, and a lot of those naysayers that we were talking about in the questions, those are the ones that didn't have the capacity to continue pushing forward or take that idea and turn it into something, but you did. And take that into account, and comes full circle with knowing your worth. That will help you and your confidence and just pushing through every day, because it won't be easy. No one here has said, oh yeah, I started a business and I became a multimillionaire in 2 days. It doesn't happen like that. But when you know who you are and you are transparent with yourself about what it is that you are trying to accomplish, you will be unstoppable, even if you do need help, because even in that transparency, you'll understand that you need help. You need help, and you'll either search for that help or you'll still try to do it on your own and move forward, and that's okay. But you'll understand who you are and you'll learn more about yourself through this business than anyone could have ever taught you. And it's your baby. Let your baby be. You're not going to force a baby, an infant, to run a marathon when they first come out the womb. No, you're going to give them time to start crawling. You're going to give them time to start walking. You're going to transition them from milk to solids to a burger, chicken fingers at the restaurant. It all takes time. And when you really think about your business as a child, as a baby, it will tremendously help where you're going and how successful you are in it. So to answer the question on the chat, yes, I can post these tips on there as well, and any other information that you guys are looking for. And yeah, I'm so glad that you guys could have joined us tonight. I do hope that this was beneficial to all of you in one way, shape, or form. And I'm excited to see what our Facebook posts and stories look like moving forward.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, business startup team. We really appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy schedules, which I know each of you are very busy, to do this for us. And I appreciate it, and I'm sure the rest of SestraNow membership, all your sisters appreciate it. And we're looking forward to, and we ask everyone to look out for your next presentation, because I can't wait to see what that's going to be. So again, thank you all for your time tonight. We're going to wrap it up here. And
I would just like to invite you to next week's presentation. It is it's nutrition and incorporate laws into your diet. So we've had like 3 solid weeks of the finance, we're taking it back to the fitness, to the health. Okay, so thank you for being here, and please join us.
all right, good night, everyone. Gonna stop the recording.
Good night, amazing woman. Good night. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, team.
Thank you.
Great job.